So let's film this video for a second time, and please try to ignore my shiny forehead. It's really hot in this room right now. Today I want to talk about Naruto again. Chapter 34 till chapter 64 to be more specific. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi returned from their first real mission. Well, it wasn't the first mission for Kakashi, he's a bit more experienced, but it was for Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke. But now our team is facing a completely different kind of task, because Kakashi gave them the opportunity to join the chunin exams. But they have the chance to turn from genin ninjas, the lowest rank in the ninja hierarchy, to chunin ninjas, a level above genin. Our group is of course excited to join the exams, and we are basically returning now back to school. But before they could even get into the building for the exams, the test already began with a small illusion at the door, and that moment made clear that the chunin rank is not going to be gifted to every candidate just for showing up. After a small incident with another student who I'm going to talk about later a bit more in detail, our group returned back on their way to the first half of the exam, which turned out to be a written test, and I did not expect to like it as much as I did at the end. So everyone gets seated into different seats far away from each of the teammates. And the second everyone looked at the test, all of them understood that they had to cheat because there was no other way that they could pass the test without cheating, because the questions were just ridiculously hard. Well, almost everyone understood that Naruto is unfortunately a bit slower, but I can't judge him for that. Like the instructor told them right in the beginning when they get caught a couple of times cheating that they would be out of the exams, and with them their teammates too. But after the test was done, the instructor clarified that the whole purpose of the test was to examine their capabilities in collecting information without getting caught in the first place. But I have to be honest, if I was one of the candidates, I wouldn't have dared to cheat, and I would have just been angry about the fact that I have to write the test without any kind of preparation time. That's probably why Naruto was so relatable in my opinion. He knew nothing, he didn't dare to cheat, and at the end he still passed the test. Sakura also didn't dare to cheat, but she did not need to in the first place. She just solved the questions by herself. And I loved watching the other students figure it all out, how every team had their own way of cheating and how they communicated with each other without getting caught. The first half of the chunin exams were really fun, and a lot of teams already failed without seeing the second half. But yeah, Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke passed the test with the help of the last question and are now on their way to the second half of the exam, which turned out to be far more dangerous than the first half. So for the next task, each team gets a scroll and they are sent into a trainings area, into a fenced trainings area, which is really huge, and they are basically surrounded by woods and dangerous animals. And their mission is to obtain this scroll of another team and bring both scrolls to the building in the middle of the trainings area to successfully finish the mission. They have 5 days for this mission, and to make it a bit more difficult for them, there are 2 types of scrolls scattered between the teams. A heaven scroll and a earth scroll. So for example, if your team has a earth scroll, you would have to fight another team and obtain the scroll and hope that they had the heaven scroll so that you can bring both to the building and pass the test. And therefore it's guaranteed that at least half of the teams will drop out of the exam. Well, at least that's how everything was planned to work out, until our new bad guy named Orochimaru decided to show up and hide as one of the candidates. Because he is really interested in Sasuke, and at this point we still don't know what Orochimaru's plans are with Sasuke, we just know that he really wants him. Because Sasuke is really talented and one of the last members of the Uchiha clan who are known for their magic eye powers, named Sharingan, we saw it when Kakashi used it against Zabuza for the first time. I know that the names and the words that are used in this series can be a bit overwhelming with all the powers and the character names and all of that, but you get used to it after a while. But yes, Orochimaru attacks our group. He puts a curse mark on Sasuke, leaves when Sasuke and Naruto are unconscious and Sakura is more or less overwhelmed. That's again one of those frustrating moments where Sakura is just standing in the background while Naruto and Sasuke are involved in the fight. Like, she watches Naruto and Sasuke get beaten up right next to her, and the only thing she does is just criticize their way of fighting. Anyways, the bad guy disappears and Sakura takes care of her teammates before they get attacked again, this time by Orochimaru's minions, because he wants to test out the powers of the curse mark that he gave Sasuke. But yeah, Sasuke was still unconscious and other teams had to come in and help them until he was then finally awake with the curse mark activated, where he had all those marks on his body. But yeah, he fought off those bad guys like it was nothing, to the point where Sakura started to fear him a little bit. After that conflict ended, all of the teams returned back to the mission with the scrolls, and our team obtained the missing one a couple days later. They then brought both scrolls to the building, and there they had to open them. When they did, Sensei Iruka magically appeared and congratulated them for successfully finishing the second half of the exam. And that's basically where chapter 64 ended. I have to say that the whole chunin exam thing had a completely different kind of feeling to it compared to the mission with Zabuza and Haku. It wasn't as emotional, but I still loved that there were so many new characters that we were introduced to. So I did not mention that the chunin exams are an international event taking officially place in Konohagakure, our village. And therefore we are introduced to a couple of ninjas from different ninja villages, for example Gaara and his two older siblings, Temari and Kankuro. But Gaara is the one that gets the most attention because of his unusual and creepy behaviors and the whole sand magic thing. I really like that the three siblings can indicate with their clothing and their way of fighting that they are from Sunagakure, the village in the desert. The chunin exams are actually a really smart way to introduce us slowly into the ninja world, but unfortunately we don't learn much about the other ninja villages. There were a couple of ninjas from Amegakure, the rain village, and a handful from Otogakure, the sound village, which turned out to be Orochimaru's village, so every ninja from there is under his control and basically a threat. But there are also many new ninjas introduced from our village, Konohagakure. We already seen some of them during the first couple of chapters, but the first real interaction our group had with them was during the chunin exam. So we have Team 8 with Hinata, who is really shy and has the biggest crush on Naruto. But Naruto is too Naruto to understand that. Then there's Kiba with his dog, who seems to be as energetic as Naruto, but a bit more arrogant. The deep connection between wolves, dogs and humans is the specialty of his clan, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So the dog that he has is not just a pet but a friend that he fights with. Shino's the next one in the group, who seems to be the more introverted type of guy, and his clan also has a deep connection towards a certain type of animal, well, insects to be more specific, who live in his body. So Shino's clan specializes in living a symbiotic life with any kind of insect or bug. I know that many fans of this series find his clan the weirdest, but I just love it. The group leader of those three is Kurenai. I don't know much about her, we didn't see much of her, but yeah, she seems nice. Then there's Team 10 with Shikamaru, who always seems annoyed and bored. We didn't see much of him for now, but I don't want to talk about the fact how great he will be in the future, so yeah, just keep him in mind. Choji is cool, but it is a bit annoying that he is always playing the hungry chubby kid who is scared of everything. I know that it is probably done for his upcoming character development moment, but it is still really annoying for now to see him like that. I like him in the future more. Then there's Ino. I'm not a big fan of her because her whole character is just being the arch enemy of Sakura. Because they are both in love with Sasuke, but it doesn't really matter because Sasuke doesn't care for either one of them. So yeah, she could have been so much more interesting in my opinion. The team leader of this group is Asuma and I really love his design. I mean, I'm not really into smoking or anything, but I think that it fits to his character that he smokes, and I really love the brass knuckle knives that he uses during fights. The last team that I want to talk about is Team 9. Tenten seems really nice, but unfortunately there's almost nothing about her in the manga. I mean, she maybe has 5 pages and that's it. And then there's Neji, one of the more interesting characters in my opinion, with all the pain that he had to live through, all the bad experiences that he had in the past. But he does not make the friendliest impression when you see him for the first time. And he also has the same eyes as Hinata, which also create a couple of questions. But for now I want to talk about someone else in the group, and that is Rock Lee. I just love him and he is one of my favorite characters in the whole series. His pure existence just creates motivation. He is just such a great person who wants to prove his skills to the whole world. And we saw that he had a lot to show during his fight against Sasuke, where he unexpectedly just completely destroyed him. Because as silly everyone thinks that he looks, he should not be underestimated. I mean, he's just really great. But when you love the Rock Lee, then you will also love their group leader, Sensei Guy. I mean, that man is just pure motivation and personal hero of Rock Lee. Rock Lee is basically his copy, and every time I have to see Sensei Guy, I just have to laugh. I don't understand how Rock Lee and him fit into this world, because they are basically like olives in a fruit salad, but it just works perfectly. I don't know how. Not the olives in the fruit salad, but Sensei Guy and Rock Lee in the series. But yes, they all went through the first 2 parts of the exam, and I have to say that I like the written test far more than the survival scroll test. Because during the second part, after the whole curse thing with Orochimaru, things got a bit slow. They met Kabuto, Orochimaru's secret agent, and they traveled with him, they got attacked again, and that's basically it. But I still enjoyed it and I liked the introduction of our new bad guy. The short scene with Iruka and Kakashi is also something that I want to mention before ending the video. Like, it was such a small conflict between Iruka and Kakashi that Iruka didn't want to accept the fact that he is no longer Naruto's teacher. and that he has to step back and let Kakashi do his thing. It is really heartwarming to see how protective Iruka is over Naruto. But he realizes that Naruto is growing up and people like Kakashi benefit him far more when it comes to training. I just love to see the teacher struggle to let go of his former student because he just cares so much about him. And yeah, that's all I had to say, and thanks for watching. Ciao.